And welcome to part 2 of Let's Play Battlefield 1942, the Battle of the Bulge. Looking at the tickets now, 131 on the American side, 92 on the German side. It looks like they've made up quite a bit of a gap there. The Germans do have a chance of winning here, even if they don't cap all of our flags out. But now there's only one Allied flag left. I think we'll capture this one, though, and make it 2. Even so, it's always a very dangerous position to be in when you're allies on this map, especially if you don't have the far southern base, which we do have at the moment. Now you can see there's a whole invasion force coming over to this city flag. You never quite know at what moment the Germans are suddenly going to capture a whole bunch of different flags at once and force you back into one position. If the Germans do manage to corner the Americans at one flag or even just 2, as long as the Germans bring in lots of armor, the Allies can really be in a bad position. The worst case scenario for the Allies on this map, the nightmare scenario that you always have, is when the Germans bring in lots of tanks and they besiege a flag where the Americans have no tanks. At that point, the Americans often do start spawning in as bazooka troops, and hopefully the Germans haven't neutralized the flag by that point and they can spawn in new waves of bazooka troops. But even then, you'll have Germans spawning in as medics or assaults, and they can very easily tear through those bazooka troops. That's one of the things that I like about playing as a medic on this map, is that you can spawn in as an anti-infantry class, as a medic or an assault, and just tear through the bazooka troops that often spawn in. Now there you can see the Germans did have a couple of machine gunners. The Germans have managed to take that far southern base. That is a really bad thing to happen for the Allies on this map, because that spawns 2 of, in total, 4 tanks that the Allies can get. Now, it's 2 out of 4, but often if you lose one flag, it'll be either the windmill flag or that flag I just spawned from. So it'll be 2 out of 3 of your tanks coming from that far back base, which is also one that the Americans have a pretty good shot at defending.
Requesting reinforcements!
Attacking this flag is going to be really tricky. If it's just infantry, you stand a pretty good shot because the flag capture radius is just inside those sandbags. If the Germans spawn in and I've just been team killed, unfortunately. I think I had a shot at capturing that flag. But anyways, if it's just infantry, you stand a good shot. But if the Germans start rolling in their tanks there, then wow, look at that. That is a good example of Battlefield 1942 physics there. The tank rolling down the hill, somersaulting like an SUV. And if it does that, it takes a huge amount of damage. Sometimes it survives. One useful tactic that the Americans can put to use is using engineers to repair and capture damaged German tanks. When a tank gets pretty damaged, the driver usually jumps out and abandons it, which leaves the American side a chance at going over there, repairing it, and just driving it off.
Enemy armor spotted! I need anti-tank support!
Alright, I'm going to try to get a closer look and see if this flag's capturable or not. Okay, just some infantry milling around. The spawn timer on this server is only 5 seconds, so you really have to be good about neutralizing the flag before they start respawning in there. There's also a bit of luck because it's always the exact same 5 seconds. It's not 5 seconds for the soldier you just killed. it's 5 seconds for everybody, and they spawn in at the next spawn wave. And the Germans still have that one. Unfortunately, being chased by a Tiger here, but if you have a chance at all, you want to go back to that southernmost base. And you can see on the radar there is an Allied tank there. Someone snuck in there with any... I'm just going to not spawn in here for a second. He's turned the flag neutral, and you often do this. No, it looks like he's just been killed, so there's no chance there. And every once in a while, though, rather than spawning in at the next flag, you want to see if there's any chance of one of your allies getting in there and turning the flag for you, rather than having to travel all the way out there. I saw that Tiger is still here. Not really sure what I can do about that. Maybe I'll get some assistance from other allies. He does not seem to be contesting the flag. He's not rolling up to the flag and trying to turn it. He's taking an interesting strategy, which you can use, which is he's basically doing a spawn camping, but he's circling it, kind of prowling around, and the reason why he's staying on the move is to avoid fire from anti-tank rockets or engineers who might try to rush up to him and place a landmine on his treads. And it's in this particular position, what he's doing is very useful for him, that is, because the allies are kind of stuck. They can't really advance from this position without having a degree of safety. So by just prowling around, he's minimizing the risk to himself while just being a real pain. And of course he's going to rack up kills by killing all the allied infantry who spawn in here. Wasn't quite able to sneak past. I'm going to spawn in anti-tank, which I rarely do because I don't think it's a very good class. But we're down to our last flag and we're really being besieged by tanks. There's not much else you can do. The reason why the anti-tank class isn't a very good one is that not only are the rockets slow and at times difficult to aim, but they don't do that much damage unless you hit the tank from the rear. Now, I've been team switched. The server automatically switched me over to the other team because the Axis had fewer players. Now, normally the team switch is supposed to happen when a team is losing because they have too few people. But because it's on an automatic program on the server, it wasn't done by an admin, I just got team switched even though the winning side, oddly enough, had more. The winning side, oddly enough, had fewer players. So I'm just going to try to take advantage of that as much as I can. Take a look at the ticket count. Remember that the Axis were way behind before, and now they're even in tickets. And that just shows you, and even though there wasn't ticket bleed or anything like that, they just really used their tanks effectively and picked off the enemy infantry where you didn't have much of a defense against them. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show off basically what that other guy was doing. I'm going to go in circles around the town flag here. This isn't a really severe flag to be camped in one sense. You do have a lot of different places that you can spawn in. So it's not like the tanks can just sit in one place and pick you off as you spawn in one little house or something like that. It's pretty surprising how effective it can be to just circle around, even though a tank doesn't move that quickly. It's just staying at a pretty good distance, close enough to be able to pick off the infantry, get a good aim with your machine gun, get a good arc with your bazooka. They're all going to be spawning in pretty much as either engineers going after us with landmines, or they're going to spawn in as anti-tanks with bazookas, but even in spite of that, in spite of all the different places they can spawn in and different angles they can get, you can really avoid taking damage from these guys if you keep a good eye out for where they're spawning in. And I've just been hit by one of the friendly tanks, but even so, I've got a fair bit of energy here. You just keep on going and stay on the move. And see, there you go. The map has ended, and I still had energy in my tank. And that'll do it for this episode of Battlefield 1942.